Hey, Cowboy Nation, this is Cowboys Abroad. I'd like to first thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. What I want to talk a little bit about is the abroad side of being Cowboys Abroad. This is not a Cowboy. This is not a specifically Cowboys related video, but I do get some questions in regards to, hey man, you live in Japan, man. What's it like over there? What's it like over there? How do you get over there? Um, uh, what's your traveling experience like, man? What we got to do? I hear things like, man, I'd really like to go. I really like to go someday. Hey, man, I want to go overseas. Things of that nature. And so, what I wanted to do is, I just wanted to take a few minutes of your time and just talk to you a little bit about traveling the world. One of the things that I actually know quite a bit about. If you can see the screen, one of the things that you got a map sitting. I got a map sitting up right here. One of the things I want to draw your attention. One of the things I want to draw your attention to is this place right here, Japan, which is where I live. Which is where I live right now. I live overseas. I've lived over here in Japan approximately 4 years. But having said that, I've also lived in this place right here, um, South Korea, and I've traveled to all of these countries right here: Laos, Thailand, Vietnam, Cambodia, and I've also uh, traveled to this country here, China. I've also been uh, Afghanistan. I've also been Afghanistan, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Iraq, Saudi Arabia. I've been to Egypt, and been to Mexico, and also uh, been to places like Germany, France, and a few other places that I've been to. I've traveled quite a bit, and first thing I'd like to say is, if you get an opportunity to travel, you absolutely should. You absolutely should travel. Uh, Go see the world. Go see the world. Personally, uh, what I like about it is I get to experience new culture, new way of life, different type of people, different experiences, different points of view, different perspectives, just different ways of living and ideologies. You know, and so uh, learned quite a bit being in the overseas sector. But having said all that, it all starts with how how do I how can I go overseas? How can I travel? How can I do these things? And really, if you're just talking about going to a foreign country, right? Um, as a U.S. As a U.S. citizen going to a foreign country, as a tourist, it's really not. It is surprisingly easy and not really that complicated. The process is fairly easy, not difficult. Can be a little more challenging if you want to actually become what they call an expat, which is actually go live overseas for a significant period of time. But actually, just going to travel as a tourist, surprisingly easy. Um, let's just cover a little bit of what that. Let's just cover real quick what that is like. All you really need to go there is a passport. Pretty much is ID, passport, visa. Had to check the medical situation. Some medical medications are not allowed in some countries. If you're on some type of narcotics medication stuff, had to check the medical. But for the most part, if you get a passport, a visa, and buy a ticket, you can go there. Some places you don't need a visa. You don't need a visa. Now, when I say Visa, I'm not really talking about the Mastercard, the Visa credit card type of stuff. Although that's gonna be, although uh, you have to have someone that's supporting yourself. But the best way to do that overseas is with cash. And when I mean cash, I mean local currency cash. Um, you don't really want to get into a situation to do a bunch of credit card uses overseas because, well, what happens is that sometimes the security parameters uh, will get you caught up. It will get you caught up. Your credit cards have security features that when you're using your card in a foreign country, oftentimes what you find is they'll deny your transactions, at least initially. Maybe send you an email saying, okay, is this you? And then you can say yes or no. And then maybe they'll allow the transaction to go through. But it can be a real headache, a real challenge if you're really solely if you're dependent on a credit card overseas. Um, One, your credit card company, from a security standpoint, don't really like that and tend to deny your transaction, even if you got credit, even if you're using your debit card and you got money. They typically the security parameters overseas are sketchy depending on where you go, and it works in some countries and others. The best thing to do in a situation like that is to use local currency cash. Um, but aside from that, um, what you need is passport and visa. But specifically, how do you know what's required for a passport? Well, getting a passport really ain't all that deep. Um, what I'm doing right now is I just put on the screen a passport application form. Basically, it's called a DS11. Along with this DS11, it's fees. It's a $35 processing fee currently. Um, Price is subject to change, and $110 for the application fee itself. So $145 um, for the passport application. Now, if you need special features like you need rush processing, I'm getting ready to do this next week. I'm getting ready to do this in a couple of weeks. I need rush processing or that type of stuff. Rush processing, expedited processing. It is available, but it typically costs you. An expedited passport currently at this date and time in 2019 costs you an additional $60 plus and a shipping fee, 24 to 48 hour shipping fee of additional 16, between 16 and 18.50. And so you could easily tack on additional $80 by just needing expedition. But you can save those costs by simply planning ahead, allowing a couple months. I would say minimum 8 weeks to get this passport back. At a very minimum. But all you really need is a proof of citizenship. So you're gonna need some type of birth certificate, certificate of nationalization, and that type of stuff to prove your citizenship. And you're gonna need original documents to go with this. So if you don't already have a birth certificate, your first step is to get with your local city office or county office and get your birth certificate, because you're gonna need an original birth certificate to send in with this form to get your passport. You take a picture. You take a passport photo, which is a double photo, 2 by 2 inch, and pay your fees. And then you take this down to an agency, a passport agency, which is typically a local post office, and turn it in. And when you go turn it in, you got to have official to go along with that. So those are the first steps in the process. I'm gonna hit up a part 2 of this video. If you like what you see, tune in for part 2, and we'll talk about what's next.